welcome. So today we are diving deep into GPU virtualization. We're going to explore a set of technologies that all try to answer one really, really important question. How do you unlock the full potential of that super powerful, and let's be honest, super expensive GPU hardware that's sitting in your data center? Let's get right into it. All right, before we jump in, just the standard heads up. This is module 19 in a larger 20-part series. It's meant as a general overview, so it's not specific legal, financial, or technical advice. The bottom line is you should always chat with your own pros before making any big decisions. And I have to call this out specifically. GPU licensing is a minefield, so please pay close attention to the implications we talked about back in module 14. So let's start with the big question, the one that probably keeps a few CFOs and IT managers up at night. You spend all this money on these incredible, powerful GPUs for AI, or VDI, or design work, but are they actually, working for you? Or are they just sitting there most of the time, silently costing you money? The tough reality is they're often idle, and that's just a huge waste of potential. And that brings us right to the heart of the matter, the GPU sharing problem. It's not about a lack of power. Oh no, we've got plenty of that. The real challenge is figuring out how to efficiently and flexibly share all that power across a bunch of different users and workloads. It's a really tricky puzzle. A lot of companies shoot for about 60% average utilization on their hardware. Sounds pretty reasonable, right? But with GPUs, man, that is tough to hit. Why? Because most workloads are what we call bursty. They need a massive amount of power for a little while, and then nothing. This up and down demand leaves your pricey hardware doing absolutely nothing most of the time, not even getting close to that 60% goal. So, what's the solution? Well, the industry has come up with 3 main ways to tackle this GPU sharing dilemma. Let's meet the contenders and take a look at how each one tries to slice up a physical GPU from multiple virtual machines. First on deck, we have GPU pass-through. I like to call this one the purest. The best way to think about it is like chartering a private jet. One single virtual machine gets exclusive, direct, VIP access to the entire physical GPU. Performance? It's incredible, almost identical to running on bare metal. But it's a strict one-to-one deal. Only one VM gets that jet at a time. Okay, our second contender is Virtual GPU, or vGPU. We'll call this one the balancer. Now, if pass-through is the private jet, vGPU is like booking a seat on a commercial airline. The hypervisor is the airline, and it's brilliantly slicing up the GPU's time and resources to serve lots and lots of virtual machines all at once. It's amazing for packing in as many users as possible and sharing the costs, but yeah, you gotta share the ride. And that brings us to our final contender, Multi-Instance GPU, or MIG. This is the divider. And if we're sticking with our analogy, this is like fractional jet ownership. MIG actually partitions the GPU chip itself at the hardware level, creating up to 7 smaller, totally isolated little GPUs. Every user gets their own guaranteed private slice of the hardware with its own memory and compute. There's no sharing and no fighting over resources. So, the most important thing here is to understand the trade-offs, and this table just lays it out perfectly. You've got pass-through giving you that unbeatable performance but absolutely no sharing. Then there's vGPU, offering awesome sharing and flexibility, but it comes with a performance hit and software-based isolation. And MIG? It splits the difference, giving you that rock-solid hardware-enforced isolation and totally predictable performance for each little slice. All right, so we get the theory behind them, but how do these things actually hold up when you put them under some serious pressure? Let's throw a demanding, real-world workload at them and see what happens. Now this chart tells a really clear story, especially for heavy AI training. Bare metal, of course, is our 100% baseline. And look at pass-through. It's right there. You're losing almost nothing. A dedicated MIG instance is also super strong, but then look at vGPU. As you start cramming more and more users on, the hypervisor has to work harder and harder to juggle all their requests, and that time-slicing overhead really starts to eat into your performance. And, it's not just about raw speed, it's about predictability. For things like AI inference or live video streaming, where every single millisecond counts, consistency is king. Pass-through and MIG give you that low, steady, consistent latency. But vGPU, because it's always juggling tasks, can introduce something called jitter, these unpredictable little delays. And for those latency-sensitive jobs, that can be an absolute deal breaker.
Okay, we've seen the specs, we've seen the benchmarks, now let's really put these technologies to the test. Let's see how they handle a gauntlet of real-world enterprise workloads. This is where the rubber really meets the road.
First up, the heavyweight champion of GPU workloads, training enormous, complex AI models. We're talking about jobs that can run for hours, days, sometimes even weeks. They need every single drop of performance they can get. For this kind of work, there is a very clear winner: GPU pass-through. When you need 99% of bare metal speed, and you have to link multiple GPUs together with things like NVLink for those gigantic models, nothing else even comes close. MIG can be a pretty good option during the development phase, to give each researcher their own dedicated slice, but for that final big production run, pass-through is king. But AI isn't just about training, right? Once that model is built, you have to put it to work in production. We call that inference, and its needs are totally different. Training is like a long-haul marathon. It's all about throughput. Inference is more like a series of quick sprints, serving thousands of requests at once, where predictable, low latency, and super strict isolation are everything. And that is where MIG is the absolute star of the show. That hardware-enforced separation means different models won't ever step on each other's toes.
All right, let's completely switch gears. What if your goal isn't maximum performance for one single task? What if you need a good enough, smooth experience for hundreds of people using virtual desktops all at the same time?
For VDI, vGPU is the undisputed champion. It was basically built for this. By carefully matching different vGPU profiles to your user types, from a knowledge worker who just needs smooth web browsing to a power user running multiple monitors, you can pack dozens of users onto a single physical GPU. It just dramatically lowers the cost for each person to have a great desktop experience. Okay, for our final challenge, let's look at the high-stakes world of computer-aided design. We're talking about highly paid engineers whose entire productivity hinges on being able to smoothly manipulate massive 3D models. Performance is critical here, but so are certified professional drivers. For CAD, a one-size-fits-all approach just doesn't work. The smartest strategy is often a hybrid one. You give your elite power users, the ones working on those billion-part car engines, the raw, no-compromises power of GPU pass-through. Then, for the rest of the team, you use vGPU with certified professional drivers to share resources and keep costs down. It's the perfect way to balance cost against productivity. So, we've seen the contenders. We've watched them go head-to-head across different workloads. This all brings us to the final and most important question. How do you actually pick the right strategy for your team? Well, the answer is actually refreshingly simple. It boils down to this. If you need maximum, no-compromise performance, you choose pass-through. If you need to cram the maximum number of users onto a single card, you choose vGPU. And if you need guaranteed, hardware-enforced isolation with predictable performance for multiple tenants, you choose MIG. It's not about which technology is best, it's about which one is best for your specific workload. And I'll say it one last time. Licensing for all of these options is a nightmare. Do your homework. Investigate it thoroughly before you sign anything. And that brings us to our final thought for the day. In a modern data center, you're not just running one of these things. You're running all of them, right? You've got AI, VDI, analytics, all fighting for the same GPU resources. So that leads to the big question for the future. In a world where all these workloads are mixing and merging, is having a single virtualization strategy ever really going to be enough?